Pain shot through my back like lightning as I hit the fifth step, my hands instinctively wrapping around my belly to protect the baby. 8 months pregnant, and I was tumbling down my parents' carpeted stairs like a rag doll, my sister Chloe's perfectly manicured hands still extended from the push. Time slowed. I counted each impact, 6, 7, 8, before landing at the bottom, my left ankle twisted beneath me, something warm and wet spreading across my maternity jeans. "Oh my God," I whispered, seeing the blood. "The baby." "Stop being so dramatic, Emma." Chloe shrieked from the top of the stairs, her voice hitting that pitch that meant she was about to play victim. "You practically threw yourself down those stairs." I couldn't speak. The cramping started immediately, waves of pain different from the bruising. This was my baby. My first child. After 2 miscarriages and 3 years of trying, this was the baby who'd made it past the first trimester, past the anatomy scan, past all the milestones that had broken my heart before. "What's all this noise?" Mom appeared from the kitchen, dish towel in hand. She saw me at the bottom of the stairs and sighed. Actually sighed, like I was a spilled glass of milk. "She's being dramatic again," Chloe said, descending the stairs slowly, stepping over me like I was debris. I barely touched her. "There's blood," I managed to say, my voice shaking. "Mom, I need to go to the hospital." "The baby." "You're fine." Dad's voice came from the living room, not even bothering to come look. "Chloe's going through enough with the divorce. She doesn't need your attention-seeking right now." Attention-seeking. I was bleeding at 8 months pregnant, and they called it attention-seeking. "She pushed me," I said, louder now, anger cutting through the fear. "She pushed me down the stairs because I wouldn't give her my credit card." That's what had started it. Chloe, freshly divorced and supposedly broke, demanding I hand over my credit card for a girl's trip to Vegas. When I'd said no, that my husband Marcus and I were saving for the baby, she'd followed me to the stairs, screaming about how I'd always been selfish, always thought I was better than her. Then she'd pushed. "I didn't push her," Chloe said, examining her nails. "She tripped. Pregnant women are so clumsy." Mom knelt beside me, but not to help. She leaned in close, her breath smelling like white wine even though it was barely noon. "Apologize to your sister." "What?" I couldn't have heard right. The blood was spreading, the cramps getting stronger. "Apologize for making her angry. You know how stressed she is with the divorce. Trevor took everything." Trevor had taken half, which was fair since Chloe had cheated with his brother. But in our family's narrative, Chloe was always the victim, always the one who needed protecting, always the one whose feelings mattered more than anyone else's reality. "I need an ambulance," I said. "Apologize first," Mom insisted. "We don't do conflict in this family." "No, I thought we just do enabling. We just do gaslighting. We just do pretending Chloe's violence is everyone else's fault." I looked up at my sister, at her smug face, at the slight smile playing at her lips. She knew she'd won. Just like when she'd keyed my car in high school, and I'd had to apologize for not letting her borrow it. Just like when she'd told my ex-boyfriend I was cheating, I wasn't, and I'd had to apologize for making her feel insecure. Just like every single time in our lives when her cruelty was repackaged as my failure to accommodate her enough. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "For what?" Chloe prompted, enjoying this. "For making you angry. And," I gritted my teeth, "and for being selfish with my credit card." "There," Mom said, patting my head like I was a good dog. "Now we can move past this." That's when I made the call. Not to 911, though that would come next. First, I called Marcus. "Hey baby, how's the visit? I need you to record this call," I said clearly. "And then I need you to call 911 to my parents' house. I'm 8 months pregnant, bleeding, and just fell down the stairs." "What?" "Actually," I continued, loud enough for everyone to hear, "I was pushed down the stairs by Chloe. And my parents are refusing to call an ambulance until I apologize to her, which I've just done." "Are you recording?" Yes, I'm recording. I'm also already in the car. I'm calling 911 on the other phone." "Good. Mom, Dad, Chloe, would you like to add anything to the recording? Maybe explain why a pregnant woman bleeding at the bottom of your stairs isn't worth an ambulance call." The room went silent. Mom's face had gone white. Dad finally appeared in the doorway, his ESPN game paused. Chloe's smug smile faltered. "You're recording?" Mom whispered. "My husband is. Has been since I told him I was pushed down the stairs." "Oh, the doorbell camera probably caught it too. You know, the one Marcus installed last time we visited? After Chloe keyed my car again?" That was a lie. There was no doorbell camera. But they didn't know that. I didn't push you, Chloe said quickly. Tell them I didn't push you. But you did, I said simply. And I have the injuries to prove it, the blood to prove it. And most importantly, I pressed a hand to my belly as another cramp hit. Whatever happens to this baby is on you. The sirens were already audible in the distance. Marcus must have called the second I'd said bleeding and pregnant. This is ridiculous, Dad blustered. Family doesn't involve police. Family doesn't push pregnant women downstairs, I countered. The EMTs burst through the door minutes later, Marcus right behind them. He took one look at me, at the blood, at the way I was holding my belly, at my family standing around doing nothing. And I saw something change in his face. My gentle, conflict-avoiding husband looked ready to commit murder. Step back, he told my family coldly. All of you, step back from my wife. As the EMTs worked, checking my vitals, asking about the fall, I kept my eyes on Marcus. He was documenting everything. The stairs, the blood, the distance from top to bottom, my family's positions in the room. We need to transport immediately, one EMT said. Possible placental abruption. Those words cut through everything. Placental abruption. The placenta tearing away from the uterine wall. Life-threatening for the baby. Life-threatening for me. I'm coming with her, Marcus said. We'll follow, Mom said, reaching for her purse. No, I said firmly. You won't. As they loaded me onto the stretcher, I caught Chloe's arm. She tried to pull away, but I held tight. If something happens to my baby, I said quietly, so only she could hear, I will make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. Every friend, every family member, every potential future employer when they Google your name. Everyone. For the first time in our lives, I saw real fear in her eyes. The ride to the hospital was a blur of pain and prayer. The emergency C-section happened so fast I barely processed it. But then I heard her cry. My daughter. Alive. Small but alive. 4 pounds, 2 ounces, the doctor announced. She'll need NICU time, but she's a fighter. I sobbed with relief, Marcus's hand tight in mine. Our daughter was early but alive. Despite the push, despite the fall, despite everything, she was here. It wasn't until the next day, when I was stable and she was breathing on her own, that I made the second call. Not to my family. They'd been blowing up my phone with messages ranging from concern to accusations to guilt trips. But to someone else. Johnson County Police Department, how can I help you? I need to file a report, I said. For assault on a pregnant woman. The officer who came to take my statement was thorough. She photographed my bruises, took copies of my medical records, showing the emergency nature of the delivery, documented the extent of my injuries. 8 stitches in my head, sprained ankle, bruised ribs, and a baby in the NICU because of blunt force trauma to the maternal abdomen causing partial placental abruption. Your sister did this? She asked. She pushed me down a flight of stairs while I was 8 months pregnant, I confirmed. Because I wouldn't give her my credit card. And your parents witnessed this? They witnessed the aftermath. They saw me bleeding at the bottom of the stairs and demanded I apologize to her for making her angry. The officer's pen stilled. They what? I told her everything. 3 decades of Chloe's violence reframed as my fault. The gaslighting. The enabling. The way they'd trained me from birth to absorb her anger, excuse her cruelty, apologize for her crimes. Will you be pressing charges? Yes, I said without hesitation. My daughter almost died because everyone in that house believed my sister's feelings were more important than my baby's life. So yes, I'm pressing charges. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. Chloe was arrested at our parents' house, screaming about how I was ruining her life. How could I do this to family? Mom called me sobbing, saying I was tearing the family apart. Dad left a voicemail calling me vindictive and cruel. But the extended family? The ones who'd only heard Chloe's versions of events for years? They got a very different story when the arrest record became public. Assault on a pregnant woman. Reckless endangerment. Child endangerment for the baby. My cousin Sarah called first. Oh my God, Emma. We had no idea. Chloe always said you were jealous of her, that you made up stories. I know what she said, I replied, watching my daughter sleep in her NICU bassinet. I've been listening to it my whole life. The trial was set for 3 months later. Chloe hired a lawyer with money she'd supposedly not had for Vegas. My parents put up their house as collateral for her bail. They showed up to every hearing, sitting behind her, glaring at me like I was the criminal. But I had evidence they didn't expect. See, what I hadn't told them about that call to Marcus. It wasn't the only recording. For the past 5 years, ever since Chloe had tried to claim I'd stolen money from her at Christmas, I'd actually paid for everyone's gifts when she forgot her wallet. I'd been documenting everything. Every incident. Every assault. Every gaslight. Videos of her keying my car. Audio of her admitting she'd lied about various things to get me in trouble. Screenshots of texts where she'd threaten me if I didn't comply with whatever she wanted. 5 years of evidence that painted a pattern of escalating violence and family enabling that culminated in her pushing a pregnant woman down the stairs. Her lawyer tried to argue it was an accident. Hard to do when I had a text from her an hour before the incident saying, "Give me your card or I'll make you regret it." She was found guilty. 18 months in prison, 3 years probation. The judge called it an appalling act of violence enabled by family dysfunction. My parents didn't come to meet their granddaughter until she was 3 months old and finally home from the NICU. They stood on my doorstep, looking older, smaller somehow. "We'd like to meet her," Mom said quietly. I thought about it for a long moment. Then I stepped aside. "You can meet her. But let me be clear. The first time you suggest she should apologize for existing, or that she should give up something to make someone else feel better, or that her safety matters less than someone's feelings, you're out. Forever." They nodded, chastened. For now. As they cooed over Luna, my fighter, my miracle, my evidence that sometimes surviving means standing up, I felt Marcus's hand on my back. "You okay?" he whispered. I thought about the girl I'd been, apologizing at the bottom of those stairs while bleeding. I thought about the woman I was now, who'd chosen her child over her conditioning, truth over family comfort, justice over false peace. "Yeah," I said, meaning it. "We're okay. Chloe writes me letters from prison sometimes. I don't read them. I just file them away with the rest of the evidence, in case I ever need reminders of why some bridges deserve to burn. My daughter will grow up knowing that her safety matters more than anyone's comfort. That's the cycle I'm breaking. One push, one fall, one truth at a time. And if that makes me the family villain, well, I've been called worse. By people who thought a pregnant woman bleeding at the bottom of the stairs should apologize for inconveniencing her attacker. I'll take villain over